Up until now, we were using object mode in Blender. In object mode, we move, rotate, scale, or manipulate our entire object. But to create more complex shapes or more complex objects, we use what is known as edit mode. Now, if we select our object, and you can see that so far we've been sort of moving it around. Now, if you look in the top left corner, we have object mode. If you click here, it's going to open up this drop down and you can select this edit mode. As soon as you do that, the tool bar is going to expand and you'll get more tools. And also, next to this drop down, you have 3 different modes. So the first one is called vertex selection mode, then you have edges, and finally faces. So the way this 3D object works is that the most basic component of an object is this vertex point. So this first one is going to let you select that. When we connect 2 or more vertices, that creates what's known as edge. So that's these lines. And then when you create 3 or more edges, that's going to give you what is known as a polygon. Now there can be polygon with 3 faces that are called triangles, and in this case we have a quad because it has 4 edges around it, and there are n-gon when you have more than 4 edges connecting to a single face. Usually you would want to avoid n-gons because it's a bit hard to work with that, and you'll see that later what I mean by that. Now to be able to quickly switch between these different modes, you can press 1, 2, and 3. 1 for vertex mode, 2 for edges, and 3 for faces or polygons. These are both like names used for selecting your faces or polygons. Now you can use all the selection methods we've used so far inside this edit mode. So you can hold on shift and click on multiple faces to select them. If you're in edges mode, you can hold on shift and click on multiple edges, and same for vertex. But multiple vertex, if you select multiple of these, then you call them vertices. So that's how parts of your model are created. So to quickly switch between your object and edit mode, you can press tab key and it lets you switch between or toggle between edit and object mode. In object mode, you basically move entire object, and edit mode, you edit parts of your object. Now here you can use all your movement controls. For example, we can make a selection like that, and then we can press G to grab along the x-axis, and you can see how we can do the same thing that we did when we were initially working with our object. So we'll go ahead and delete this, and just a quick exercise. Now it's up to you whether you want to follow this or not. I'm just going to demonstrate how you would sort of start creating more complex shapes. So if we press Shift A under Mesh, we're going to go ahead and add a plane object, and then we can go ahead and tap into edit mode by pressing tab key. Now you can see we have these vertex points. Now we can go ahead and press Control R, and that's going to let us add these loop cuts, and then we can use our mouse scroll wheel. So we're going to add these, and when you first left click, it's going to add these, but then you can also position these. I'm going to right click to cancel the movement so that it snaps into exactly center of the object. Now we can go ahead and select these vertex points, and we can scale them. Something like here, and I'm going to do sort of same thing here. So let's press 7 on the numpad, and we can grab and move this, sort of adjust these a little bit. So we're basically manipulating these to create a shape that looks similar to the spoon, something like that. And then we're going to add an edge loop in the center here. Again, Control R, and then using the vertex selection mode, I'm sort of just moving these along these different axes, and same thing back here. And now we can go ahead and select these points and move them inwards like that, and then we can select these edge points here, and then we can press E. That's for using the extrusion tool along the x-axis. And then again, I'm going to grab this along the x-axis, and we can add a loop cut here, and we can move it on the z-axis like that. And you can see by just using those basic sort of movement tools, we were able to create this spoon shape. Now we can right click and shade it smooth, and then we can press Ctrl 2, and that's going to let us add what is known as a subdiv modifier. If we click on this wrench icon, we can click on add modifiers, and then under generate, we're going to add a solidify modifier, and we're going to drag it above our subdivision modifier. And let's change this thickness value. And we can go ahead and make sure that we have vertex points mode selected. And even though you can't see that down there, if you click on this icon at the top, it's going to enable X-ray mode, and then you can see these points. So let's go ahead and select these and move it even more inverse like that. So you can see how we sort of started with a very basic plane object, but then we moved it around and played around with it, and we have the spoon. Now you can add further customization, sort of scale this along the y-axis to sort of narrow down the inner part. You can add more detail, and again you can make it thinner like that. So that's how you sort of start. So that's the difference between object and edit mode. In object mode, you edit your entire object. So you select it and move it around. You can rotate your entire object, and then you can tap into edit mode and you can edit parts of your object or components of your object. And you can see by just using some basic tools, we were able to create this complex looking shape out of that simple plane. So this was just to demonstrate how you'll turn basic primitive shapes into more complex shapes, and sort of a quick exercise.